on 97.3 The Fan.
Hello and welcome into the Skraby Show for February 4th, 2026. Thank you for joining me. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about today. We will get to the Shield Seidler Padres sale situation, but we just had some breaking news come down about 5 minutes ago. Tony and I were talking about this earlier. So if you're a Pirates fan, I'm sorry, but Framber Valdez did not sign with the Pirates. We were talking about how he's kind of rumored. Maybe the Pirates are actually trying. No, Framber Valdez went to an AL team, so that's good for us. He signed with the Detroit Tigers, 3 years, $115 million. He is 32, according to Passan. I don't think Passan's telling me a lie there. He gets the highest AAV ever for a left-handed pitcher, as well as the highest for a Latin American pitcher. Detroit gave him a $38.3 million annual salary. There is an opt-out in the contract after the second season, sources said. Valdez waited until the eve of spring training, but wound up with a strong outcome regardless. So that does tell me that teams are not afraid to spend right now, not afraid to spend at all. And Framber Valdez getting 3 years, $115 million. The first thing I think about is that Tarek Skubal wants $32 million in arbitration, and the team only is offering $19 million in arbitration. So does this tell me that Tarek Skubal is going elsewhere for sure now? And what does it tell you, if you're Tarek Skubal, that they would rather sign Framber Valdez, who has not been with the team, but they would rather sign him to a deal, $38.3 million a year, when he wants $32 million. I feel like this is a major slap in the face if I'm Tarek Skubal. I'm like, what in the world? If I'm Tarek Skubal, I'm thinking, hey, I just got you through the last 2 years. I made the team relevant. I was the best pitcher in the American League. I just want to be paid fairly. And now you go out in free agency and you bring in Framber Valdez for more money than I asked for. Yeah, this is it just tells me either the Tigers aren't very good at negotiating, or they aren't, they don't take care of the people that got them there, or it tells me that there's some sort of There's some sort of relationship that's failing between the Tigers and Tarek Skubal, because I don't think this makes any sense. Why not bring back the fan favorite? If you're going, the whole thing is you didn't want to spend money. You were saying that Tarek Skubal was too expensive. You're going to have to drop salary, and then you go spend $38 million a year on a guy? I don't know. I think that's a kind of a slap in the face. On YouTube, it says, it just means that the Tigers don't want to set a precedent for the amount Skubal wants. Tarek is probably more concerned with getting a fat contract after the season. I mean, if he's the best pitcher in baseball, or at least the best pitcher in the American League, shouldn't he just be handed the money? I mean, if you're going to give it to Framber Valdez, who struggled last year at the end of the year. Also, the whole thing with the catcher, I don't really personally think that kept people away, or teams away from him. But this is a strange move to me. And if Detroit didn't want to give Tarek Skubal the money, then why did they give Framber Valdez more? It's weird. It's weird. C20 says, agree, Skraby. Sounds like Skubal is likely a goner if they don't step up and lock him up long term. K-Law says, did they even need another pitcher? Everybody could use pitching. Everybody could use pitching. But man, they're going to, hey, I don't even want to put it into the atmosphere in the world. But if he goes to another team, it better not. It better either be the Padres, or it better not be that one team. Better be outside of the National League West. All right, we'll get back into that in a second. But that just came down right before the show. So thank you very much to the Tigers for giving me something to talk about for the first 6 minutes. But we do have some big news that we woke up to today. Kevin Acee dropped an article. Dennis Lin dropped an article about Sheil Seidler. She filed Monday. And let me just read it because I'm not a lawyer. A filing in Travis County, Texas court dated Monday said a resolution between the parties had caused Sheil Seidler to drop the claims in her original lawsuit filed in January 2025, except her claims of breach of duty related to trust distributions and demand for accounting. So basically, she's dropped everything in the lawsuit except for, quote, trustees have failed to allocate the trust and that she has not received all the income she is due, end quote. I have many different thoughts about this. I think many different thoughts about this, and I wanted to start here because immediately I saw people on social media, and I know I'm taking it from social media. Trust me, I know I'm taking it from social media. But immediately it was like blaming her. Why did you make us go through this? In my thought, and I'm not a lawyer, and I've never studied law, but in my thought, a settlement means it means that they couldn't come to terms, and so, or not that they couldn't come to terms. To me, it means that they couldn't prove whatever it was that Sheil was trying to prove and the team was trying to prove. So it tells me that there was some sort of gray area, and they would much rather settle than go through a court process. I think that would be something I can see. Or a potential owner in this whole process of trying to find a new buyer or find a buyer for the team just offered, and they were like, hey, we have this offer on the table. If you settle, we can make it happen. If you don't settle, it's probably not going to happen. But if you do settle, you're going to get a payout of this because we're selling the team. So ultimately, I don't think it's Sheil Seidler's fault at all. I mean, if there was some question as to things that happened after Peter Seidler's death, then I have no problem with her trying to protect her family. I have no problem with her trying to protect her family. So stop blaming her. Really, stop blaming her. But this is a good thing for the team, though. If we take a step back and we take all the feelings out of it, this is exactly what we needed to hear, because this means that they can start moving forward as long as they find a buyer. There's 3 currently that are being named. Joe Lacob he owns the Warriors, and I believe he owns the Valkyries, the WNBA team. Also, there are 2 other guys reported by Sportico, Jose Feliciano and Dan Friedkin. Now, Dan Friedkin's from San Diego, so maybe that's something there. But they both own Premier League, or at least are part of a group that owns Premier League soccer teams. Friedkin owns Everton and Serie A club Roma, and Feliciano's private equity firm is the majority owner of the Premier League club Chelsea. I said this earlier, but I don't really want to, like, when it says Feliciano's private equity firm, I said this weeks ago, it's not my choice, and so I'll have to deal with it if it does happen, but I don't think a private equity firm is in San Diego's best interest, in the Padres fan best interest. If we're looking at this, I don't know much about Dan Friedkin, but I do know a lot about Joe Lacob because my friend is, I think I said it on Go to Chris, very connected with the Warriors up there. He loves Joe Lacob, says that the guy wants to win. And I've had my ear to the ground. I've put my feelers out there. I'm trying to step up a little bit more in that realm, and do not take this as fact, but I am hearing that in hearing and feeling. Now, I don't know if this is true because I'm not saying I'm reporting this, but I feel like Joe Lacob is the guy. I just feel it, and I've been hearing it. Now, it could turn immediately, but I think people would like that. I think people would really appreciate a guy who wants to win. Now, you may say, which I did get a DM or not a DM, a reply to my tweet saying, well, he's let the Warriors go. I don't really want him. Why? Why would you not want a guy who cares about winning? That's all San Diego Padres fans care about. That's all they care about is winning. So if you bring in a guy like, and I don't know who Jose Feliciano is or his private equity firm, but I don't feel as good with a private equity firm coming in here. I feel like a private equity firm is way less personal, maybe less emotion attached to things where, they just make decisions. And I'm generalizing private equity firms here. But this is a good thing. KG, I still don't understand why anyone is dooming about the sale. I don't either. It is sad that the Peter Seidler era will officially end. But what he's built is what everybody's going to remember him for. Peter Seidler put this together and made it happen. And I will also give fans a lot of credit because there aren't people who want to buy this team for $2.5 billion, which is the estimated valuation. If the fans don't make Petco Park a party 81 times a year, and Peter Seidler doesn't put in the money to bring some players into town, we're not sitting in this position. We're probably sitting in a position where the owner doesn't really care. They just want they just want the check. And I have heard, oh, well, Joe Lacob doesn't have deep enough pockets. Don't put it past a billionaire to find money. They have plenty of friends that can help them find money. Now, again, I have no idea if this is going to finish tomorrow, if this is going to finish at the All-Star break, if this is going to finish after the 2026 season. I have no idea, but I'm hoping that it's sooner rather than later. I'm hoping it's tomorrow. Get these people involved and have them write AJ Preller a check for $100 million so he can go out and get a bunch of guys. Go out there and get a bunch of high-profile players. Do I think that's going to happen? No, I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow. But I do think that this timing is very interesting because obviously season coming up, and it would be nice to have the direction that the franchise is pointed in before the season, but we're all going to have to hang in there together. And we're all going to have to deal with it as it comes. But this news was unexpected, and I totally think that this news is good for the Padres and for Padres fans. You want this to get out of the way, this lawsuit, to get out of the way so that things can move forward. All right. This is the Skraby Show is what I meant to say. I'm Matt Skraby. Thank you for joining me. You can watch on Facebook, 97.3 The Fan. You can watch on YouTube, 97.3 The Fan. Skraby Show, at The Skraby Show on YouTube. Also, my Twitter, at Matt Skraby, and X, 97.3 The Fan SD. We're going to continue kind of to talk about this. I'm hoping, for the best of all of this. But when we get back, there was a news item that dropped from the Padres other than this, and it was the 2026 non-roster invitees. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'm going to give you a little bit of, I'm going to name some of them when we get back here on 97.3 The Fan.
What's up?
Matt Skraby broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how here on 97.3 The Fan. We just got done talking about Framber Valdez signing with the Detroit Tigers for 3 years and $115 million. In my mind, ends Tarek Skubal's time with the Tigers because they don't want to pay him, apparently. Don't really understand this at all, but I'll have to understand. Thank goodness the Tigers are not my team. But the Padres, we also talked about Shield Seidler kind of dropping some parts of the lawsuit against the team, and it looks like it's going to move forward into a sale. We'll see. But outside of that stuff, we're starting to get close to spring training. We are just over a week away from spring training, and we're getting news like the non-roster invitees. And now these are the guys that aren't on the 40-man roster. So you're not going to see a Tirso Ornelas because I believe he's on the 40-man roster. So he's not on this list. But you will get some of the names that we talk about throughout the year. But some of the names that interest me, Tristan McKenzie, that was someone that they brought in, I believe, before the new year, coming from the Guardians. And he is a really skinny dude. He's 6'5", 165 pounds. But I'm curious to see what he can do. I think he's somewhat of a wild card because he has pitched in 6 seasons, and he started for the Guardians in 2022. He had a 2.96 ERA. He started 30 games, pitched 191 innings, and struck out 190 batters. So it's there. You know that he's able to do it. I'm very curious to see what happens with Tristan McKenzie, whether or not he plays well enough in spring training to work himself onto get a roster spot. I mean, who knows? Maybe he's going to be the 5th starter. We don't know that. I don't think that's going to happen right out the gate, but we never know. Last year, he was he was injured, 5 2/3 innings pitched. But in 2024, he only started 16 games. So his best year, definitely 2022. And I'm curious to see what happens when he starts working with the pitching whisperer, Ruben Niebla, because I feel like that's someone to watch. Logan Gillespie, we know about him. He's going to be invited. Some of the other Omar Cruz, we know. Marco Gonzalez, who was signed last week by the Padres to a minor league deal, he could make a run at the opening day roster. Jagger Haynes is a name I hear often. And then Blast from the Past was traded away and now is back. Jackson Wolf is a non-roster invitee. You also, for catcher, you have Blake Hunt. I've heard his name. And Ethan Salas, obviously, we know about him. And he had a decent spring training last year. We saw some flashes of brilliance from Ethan Salas. Infielders, Jose Miranda. I mean, there's no one that I've really heard about, and it doesn't mean they're not a good player, but these are the guys that are being invited off the 40-man roster. And I guess that's about it. Nick Solak is a name I recognize for the infield outfield. But again, we're getting close to spring training. We're starting to talk about names. We're starting to talk about, pitchers and catchers and all of that. So I am getting pretty excited about what's coming up here in the next couple weeks. Although I am a little sad that we will lose Tony from the studio forever and ever and ever again. I will miss him because it's so much better here in the studio with all three of us. I gotta say, it's so much better. But we have to do what we got to do. Tony out in Arizona in a couple weeks, and we will start our baseball season. I'm ready. I'm ready for the baseball to start. I am not, football ending is whatever. My team isn't in the Super Bowl, so I, don't really have a dog in the fight. But I know once the Super Bowl happens, Padres are right around the corner. So right now on NFL Network, I've seen every single thing under the sun about the Super Bowl, but right now they're doing the best Super Bowl commercials of all time. And I gotta say, maybe this is sacrilegious, but the commercials these last few years, I'm not that into. I'm not. I don't think the commercials are the same. I don't think that the commercials have as much star power as they used to, and I feel like everybody's just trying so hard to get that one commercial. But I'm in it for the football. I don't know if anybody else is in it for the football. I'm in it for the football. We also have some halftime show. Everybody's gonna love Bad Bunny. Well, some people are gonna love Bad Bunny. Dee Dee says, so ready for baseball. KG says, Scraby, do you have a message for the people who keep saying, I'm not excited for the season? I should get one of those, actually. I should get one of those because I'm starting to see this team's going to stink. This team's going to stink because they don't have enough on the roster. This roster is not complete. What is AJ Preller doing? Dominic says, I don't know about the best commercials, but the creepiest commercial goes to Seal as a Seal ad. No, I actually liked the Seal ad. I thought it was hilarious when they pan out and Seal singing as a seal. Come on, that's hilarious. Seal being a seal, that is hilarious. You got to admit. You got to admit that's really funny. Is there any other breaking news? Let me go back to Jeff Passan's Twitter just to see if there's anything that I missed. No, it's just the Framber Valdez stuff. If you missed it, he is now a Detroit Tiger, 3 years, $115 million. All right, let's get to break. And when we get back, we're going to have a whole big segment. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the lawsuit. And then we're just going to have some fun here on the Skraby Show, 97.3, The Fan.
The biggest
I need to figure out why like the same 3 beds play on this show. That is something I'm going to do this weekend, is figure out why I only have like 3 beds playing. It's kind of unfortunate. Matt Skraby back with you here in the Bill House Studios, 97.3 The Fan. We're going to be talking about, I want to talk more about the Super Bowl commercials because everybody's talking about the Seal commercial on the YouTube chat. If you want to join the YouTube chat, you can just go to @the Skraby Show or @97.3 The Fan SD. And they're saying that the Seal commercial is really creepy. So I went and I got it, and I'm going to put it up on the stream because I think you can play commercials, right? I mean, that's what they want you to do. You're kind of advertising their product, so I won't get in trouble for that, will I? I don't think so. All guests on 97.3 The Fan join us on the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys helping good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. We are going to hear from Joe Flacco in the next 20 minutes or so. He's becoming the old man who's like, back in my day, it was really, we had to walk both ways up the hill in the snow, barefoot type of thing. He was talking about the current state of the NFL and the players. And I just made fun of him, but I do think he has a point. Let's go to the Seal thing real quick, because I thought this commercial in the Super Bowl was amazing. I thought it was hilarious. I thought that it was fun. I thought all of the above. So I know for some of you, you can't see this, but I want to make sure you can. So you can go to the StreamYard or the YouTube after and go like 35 minutes in or something like that. But I'm really trying to figure out where I put. Okay, there it is. Here is the Seal commercial, everybody. It's for Mountain Dew, by the way. Baja Blast, I believe. Ooh, the moment I think I'm in a strange on the sea, yeah. My flippers got whole Mountain Dew. It slips right on through watershade. All right. I mean, come on. That is funny. He's trying to open a Mountain Dew bottle with his flippers, and it's not happening. Come on. I don't know who thinks that's not funny. Seal being a seal. All right. I'll get over it now. I promise. I'll get over it. I've said that like 7 times now. Seal being a seal. Where should we go? You know, I'm going to go back to the Padres in a second, but Joe Flacco he's one of the longest tenured players in the NFL, and he played decent this year. He actually made the Pro Bowl for the first time in his career, which is kind of insane. But here is what Joe Flacco, he joined Kevin Clark at Super Bowl Radio Row, and here's what he had to say about the current state of NFL players.
I don't think anybody coming into the league these days is quite as battle tested as guys that came into the league 15 years ago. I think you can kind of, if you're a good high school recruit, you can kind of ride your way through college, and they're going to pick you because you have potential. Yeah. I think there was less of that 15 years ago. I think our generation does benefit from, dealing with a little bit of tougher times, just like the generation 20 years before me benefited over us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're right. I kind of came in as it was transitioning. So I still have that mindset. Like, I don't think it should be roughing the passer when they land on us. I don't think being slapped in the head should be roughing the passer. It honestly annoys me because it affects games in a negative way at random times.
Yeah.
And they can call it or not call it. It needs to get out of the game. They need to go back to it. I know CTE is a thing these days and all that, but it's football. We signed up to play it. And I do think that the guys of my generation probably benefit a little bit from having that mindset, because the guys that are coming into the league nowadays, they look at me like I'm crazy. Like, what do you mean you want receivers to get laid out over the middle and you want guys to be able to land on you? I'm like, yeah, guys, that's football. Like, there's certain things that shouldn't be penalties. And
he goes on for a little bit, but I think he made some pretty good points here. And I made fun of him a little bit doing the whole, walking uphill both ways in the snow with barefoot. But I think he's right. I think he's right. And let me go check what Joe Flacco's age is, because Joe Flacco and I probably are in the same realm of age. Okay, he's 41 years old. So he just turned 41 January 16th. So we are kind of in the same realm. And I completely understand what he's saying, and he's right in this regard. You can now, I guess I'm going to use his words. You can now cruise through college and get to the NFL, and then if you have some promise, they're going to draft you and they're going to bring you in. Like I mean, I remember, here I am saying, I remember back when, like, these guys you would have to have a good college career to be considered for a first round, second round, third round pick. You would have to put in the work in college. In high school, I mean, sometimes these kids aren't even, they're putting in the work. I'm not going to take that away from them, but I think that they're also half expecting that it's going to be easy because no one wants to hit anymore in practices and things like that. Joe Flacco grew up in the era that I grew up in, which was, and I'm not kidding when I say this, because I was in high school from 99 through 2003. And I remember specifically, and this was probably around 2000, I would say. But I remember specifically one time my coach refusing to let us have water because we weren't practicing great or well. And is that a bad thing? Yeah, it's a bad thing now that we know about it. But like, those are the type of things that I had to deal with just playing high school football. Joe Flacco had to deal with it at the NFL level, and I agree with him about the penalties. I think some of these penalties are stupid and egregious. I think they're dumb. There should not be a game-changing play because you landed too hard on the quarterback. I understand why the NFL has put in these rules, because they want to protect their good players. You can't, and you want to protect your quarterbacks, because you can't have a great league if half of your quarterbacks are getting hurt because they're getting hit too hard. But I mean, some of these quarterbacks that were playing years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, were taking huge hits. And Joe Flacco's right in that point. Like, they cannot just keep calling these penalties randomly, because on every play you could probably find someone that's doing something wrong, but you don't call it. Like, it drives me nuts. Drives me absolutely insane when they call a penalty that extends the drive when it was a questionable roughing the passer penalty or using your body weight penalty. That's not a penalty to me. That is football to me. I'm not the one who actually has to play, and I'm not the one who actually, is getting my head hit. And he does recognize CTE, but then he says it's football. We signed up to play. And I think that Joe Flacco, he said it. Another point he made that I like is that he was like, the guys 20 years before me think it was good for them to go through that stuff. So everybody goes through what they go through. I am happy that I went through the era that I went through, because it made me who I am today. But we got a passing bomb. All right, let me finish this up. But I do think things are getting a little too coddled around the world. I really do. All right. Okay. This is someone that we have talked about. Jeff Passan, breaking news. Outfielder Miguel Andujar and the San Diego Padres are in agreement on a 1-year, $4 million contract. Sources tell ESPN. John Heyman had the agreement first. Let's go to John Heyman real quick. All he put is Miguel Andujar to the Padres. Let's go take a look at Miguel Andujar, because we have talked about him, and I do think that Tony was a fan of Miguel Andujar. And all right. He's played 9 seasons. Last with the Reds. He played for 2 teams last year. He was with the A's for 60 games. He was with the Reds for 34 games. But I'm loving his numbers. Last year, in 321 at bats, he hit 318 with an OPS of 822. I will take that. In 34 games with the Reds, he hit 359 with a 944 OPS. Let's see. Let's go back a little bit in his career and see if this is like a trend or if this is just a good year. 2024, he only played 75 games, hit 285, but did not have a good OPS. If we go back to 2021, he played 100. Oh, wait, no. I was going to say 162 games. That was 162 plate appearances. You have to go all the way back to 2018 to see him play 149 games with the Yankees. He had a 2.8 WAR, and he had 297, 855 OPS, hit 27 home runs. Last year, he hit 10 home runs. I'm fine with this. I love this, actually. This is the type of signing that I think the Padres need to make. And AJ Preller taking a flyer on a 1-year, $4 million deal for a player who was pretty good last year and for a player that can impact the team right now. This is a good signing. Oh, someone said go check his stats against lefties. Good point. I should go check his stats against lefties. Let's just go back to last year against lefties. See what he was doing last year against lefties versus left-handed pitchers. Oh, this is why they wanted me to look at it. Okay. I see you, Gabe. Thank you. Against lefties in 2025, 90 at-bats, hit 389 with a 986 OPS. I love that. I absolutely love that. This is a great signing. And I'm not sure why other teams did not go after this. Like we talked about it weeks ago, and then there were some rumors about it, and then all of a sudden it was gone. The rumors were gone, but apparently they've been working on it. And that's some good stuff. His second half was incredible. And I'm just going through all these numbers with everybody else for really the first time. The second half, he hit 357, 970 OPS. He had 7 home runs, 24 RBIs. I will take that. All right, let me see what the chat is saying. Andujar is a lefty annihilator. That's a good way. We need one of those pretty bad, Kayla says. Cole says, let daddy AJ cook. Rusty Lettuce said he was killing it last year. Dominic said, related or not to Joaquin Andujar? I'm not sure. Can't answer that for you. Trevor says, wow, are you kidding me? $4 million? Great move. Mime Jr. says, I'm hyped, to be honest. Insane numbers career-wise. Rod says, re-sign OMG Iglesias. Cole says, bleep it, let's ride. Jay says, platoon with Sheets, 121 WRC plus for him. Man, this is looking better and better and better the more I go down this rabbit hole. 125 OPS plus last year. He's an outfielder, and he could probably, it's just not, I'm not going to say that he could play first base because not everyone could just play every single position on the field, Mr. Skraby. Not everyone could do that. But platoon with Sheets at DH, maybe? Jay is asking that. Because at FanFest, Craig Stammen said Gavin Sheets is pretty much leader in the clubhouse to lose the job at first base. They're going to give him a real good look at first base. So he's probably going to be in the lineup every single day for the most part. He was a third baseman with the Yankees, as is being pointed out on the chat. Let me go see, since we're all discovering this together, let me go see where he has played. Let's go back to, I can't do that. I'm having trouble with the thing right now. I'll go back to last year and see what positions that he played. And man, this is tough to do live on the air because I wish I just had all of my information, but I'm not going to be able to do that. I like it though. Oh, here he is. He has played first base last year. 2 games played first base. He hit 800 while he was playing first base. He was 4 for 5. So I think that's pretty good. He did play a ton of games at third base, 31 games at third base. Left fielder, 28 games. DH, 28 games. Pinch hitter for him. So he's likely, I would think they're bringing him in as like a defensive replacement for the outfield. I don't know that he's going to be getting much time in the infield, but who knows? Who knows? The chat is being funny right now. I like this. This is good stuff. I think that AJ Preller is doing the right thing right now. And I wonder, and it's not that big of a deal. 1 million, 4 million, or 1 year, $4 million. It's not that like much money. But I wonder, with this whole lawsuit thing being kind of cleared up, is it time for AJ to get cooking? I think it is time for AJ to get cooking. Cooking or cooking? I think it's cooking. George says, good signing, versatile, and hit lefties well. That's exactly what they need. They need someone who could hit lefties like Miguel Andujar can hit lefties. Now, this was a pleasant surprise tonight. We woke up to the news of the Padres lawsuit looking like it's going to be settled and out of the way. Maybe, possibly, possibly we have a new owner soon. We'll see. Maybe there's some owners already in the mix. There are some people who are discussing it. And then tonight you get Miguel Andujar. So there you go. I love it. I do. AJ Preller is cooking. Very much so. I'm trying to get more information on this for everybody before I take off. I'm glad it happened in the last segment before I went home, because usually this stuff breaks at like, I don't know, 7:10 p.m. and I've just been off the air. We were on for 5 hours and they had to break the news after. So anyway, all right. I don't see anything else out there. So that's a good signing. I like it. 1 year, $4 million. George says, I think Ozuna is next for the DH. I don't know. He's older. He's 30, going into 35. Andujar is, let's see, how old is he? Got to go back to the overview, everyone. 30. He'll be 31 in March 2nd. So got some years on him. Not like I'm not saying he's old. I'm saying he has more years left, is what I'm trying to say. All right. I'm loving this. I don't even know if I want to do the daily gripe because it's just going to bring us down. But I think everybody can identify with my daily gripe, so let's do it.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
All right, well, I guess I have two daily gripes, which is, I told you guys this last night. My right side of my earbuds are not working, and it's very awkward when nothing is happening in this ear. I don't like it. I have to get new earbuds. It's not my favorite thing. Back to the chat for a second. George says, but let's agree, the DH spot is next, though. It's got to be somewhere. I mean, they have to. If I don't think Miguel Andujar is the answer to the DH question, but I do think that he can DH. So, good move. Very, very uplifting move to end the day. All right. My daily gripe for today is, and I think people can identify with this, because when you're downtown, I was downtown for my Voice of San Diego job earlier today, walking the streets, and the sidewalks, or the crosswalks, I mean, are very well marked. They yell at you when you need to cross the street. They yell at you when you're not supposed to cross the street. So it's not that hard to figure it out. But here's my daily gripe. When people do not wait for me to cross the crosswalk, I do cross the crosswalk. Like, I want to go. I'm supposed to. I have the right of way. So when I'm driving, I let those people go in front of me. That is what's supposed to happen. But when today, this is the reason that this daily gripe came up. I was leaving to come here, and I had my little walk guy on the sign, and it was like, walk, walk. You know how it does, and it like I don't know, chirps at you. Well, some guy comes screaming around, cuts me off as I'm trying to walk across the street, almost hits me. There's my daily gripe. Everybody's saying for Klug to buy me new headphones. Well, that's not going to happen. The radio stations don't buy headphones. I'm going to have to get some new ones, though, because this one's dead. I've had these for a while, so I can't complain. But... oh, wait. Gripe from George. Quick green lights that turn yellow all of a sudden. You got to wait a whole other cycle. Don't even get me started. There's one next to my house that does that. It's like a 2-car green light. Like, who does a 2-car green light? Ugh. Nasty. All right. Well, if you're just tuning in, Miguel Andujar has reportedly been signed by the Padres 1 year, $4 million. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Tony is actually off tomorrow, so it'll be Chris and I. But we will talk about all of this. I hope everybody has a good night. Be safe and be happy. Talk to you tomorrow.
Baseball season.